access infinite possibilities, infinite mastery, and infinite love. Mind-expanding, heart-opening conversations with some of the greatest spiritual teachers, luminaries, and healers of today's world. Usher in New Earth by living in your sacred heart. Quantum Conversations is brought to you by AcousticHealth.com. Home of music from the universe, online healing retreats, and this program. Claim your free registration to daily shows at AcousticHealth.com. AcousticHealth.com, your portal to the inner realms. Our program starts shortly. Welcome to another Quantum Conversation, brought to you by AcousticHealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. And it is also our connection to all that is on an instant level. And really, it is a connection to our essence here in this present moment. We are talking today with a clairvoyant and a medium who works in energy healing, vibrational energy therapy. Debbie Anderson is here, and she is going to be taking your questions and also sharing how we can use this vibrational energy therapy in our lives. She's got a program where you can get certified, and it's in her special offer that we will talk about as well. Let's welcome Debbie Anderson to Quantum Conversations. Debbie, hello.
Hi, Loren.
I am so pleased to introduce you to our beautiful audience. We love this topic, absolutely, and we're going to hear your story about it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really looking forward to sharing and hearing what others want to know, really. That's the best part about this.
Yes, you are in communication with spirit, and you offer spiritual clarity sessions. So we'll talk all about that. But first, we're going to begin with how you came onto the planet. And this is a common story, a story of shutting down those skills. But I first want to hear your story of what you saw. What happened when you were that little girl and you saw etheric beings?
Well, the exciting yet scary part about this, and what I love about today in our world, that we have access to so much information, which when I was a little girl of 4 years of age, my mother didn't. And of course, there were so many other things to worry about at that time. You know, she was going through a divorce with my father. She had two little twin boys of 2 years of age and then a daughter of 4. So we all got bundled to my grandparents' house, and our new journey began there. And that was when I first saw spirit. And I didn't understand at that time that when the ceiling was opening up and these little ethereal bodies were coming, these little light beings were coming and sitting on the end of my grandmother's bed, that it was okay. They weren't there to harm me. I just thought they were something I had never seen before. And of course, Mum thought, oh, you're having a bad nightmare, just go back to sleep. And so I would have this happen a couple of times, and then I think Spirit were realizing that I was a little bit traumatized by it rather than excited. So then they began these conversations with me, and I always say that children that have imaginary friends that are chattering away to themselves or to their dolls or their teddies or their action man heroes are usually having a conversation with spirit. So just listen and step back. That's what I always try and say to parents and grandparents and caregivers, that sometimes we can actually learn quite a lot. So they continued that journey with me, just having a chat and, you know, being part of my day-to-day world. And they continued to be with me through my life. But it was when I got to my teenage years, I think that there was the phenomena that happened that, I was traveling back from school on the double-decker bus on the top level of the double-decker bus, which I loved being, because you could see everything. You could see down onto everybody and across the tops of the houses and stuff like that. So growing up in England, it was one of those things that it's like, okay, let's get the best out of this. So I'm sitting there enjoying looking out of the window, and then I see this beautiful glowing body there. And of course, we went to church every Sunday, so I knew what Jesus looked like on the images, in the church and so forth. And of course, I jumped up and said, "Hey, look, there's Jesus. Jesus is down there. Oh my gosh, look, there's Jesus." And of course, like any of us traveling on public transport, if somebody jumps up and says that, we all gradually just move back and look at them in a very strange way. And of course, I sat back down feeling a little bit upset by it, and of course there's Jesus smiling back at me, and I'm sitting down looking at the floor and going, oh well, maybe I thought everybody could see this. I assumed that they could see it, and so of course it got back to my mom, and my mom took me to see a psychiatrist. And sadly, in those days, in the 1960s, especially in England, I don't know so much in North America, but then if you were hearing voices, you were either psychotic or you needed psychiatric assistance in some way, and that usually came in the form of a lovely white jacket that had your hands strapped into, and a cushioned room. So, and many people were left there until I think the point that they died. Very few emerged back out of it, because we don't have the same kind of system that we have today, where we're a little bit more enlightened and a little bit more in awareness. So I realized that this could happen, and Spirit basically said, you know what, kid, you're going to have to take this on the chin. You're just going to have to say you made it all up. And of course, I'm having this conversation in my head with them, going, but I don't understand. I did see Jesus, didn't I? And I think, yes, you did, but people here just don't understand it. So I got a little bit upset with Spirit, like, why would you do this to me? And then I realized that I had to tell my mom, and I said, I was just trying to seek attention. Growing up in what we would call as a broken home in those days when we had no father, and I was just seeking attention as a sprawling teenager that felt that they were not being heard. So Spirit came to me in different ways, and I think after that it was a case of I had to get this understanding of why this was happening in this way. Why wasn't it just this straightforward, I could have this conversation like I can today? But of course it wasn't the right time in the history of the transformations that were going on. But I learned as I got older that there were times when I could talk about Spirit and times when I couldn't. Those kind of conversations, sometimes you go into a room and you want to share something, and then you're like, no, this is not the right environment. So I think that was something that I truly learned at that point in my life, that, it's not always the right moment to share things. So it was a little bit of a struggle, and I think people do still struggle with it these days. People that know me, or when I introduce myself now, I don't cower away from the fact of what I do. If people say, what's your job, or what do you do? I say, I'm a clairvoyant medium, and that's it. And of course, either they embrace it or they don't. So if they don't, end of conversation. That's okay by me. It's no different than, if I meet somebody and they say, oh, I'm a lawyer. And I would go, well, that might be interesting, but I really don't want to talk to them about their job. At least now I know what they do, So it's no different than that. Whereas some people are really curious and some people aren't, so that's okay. But it took a while for me to understand it was okay to share that. And I think that is a lot to do with the enlightenment that we have today in our world, and the acceptance, this change that's going on, this beautiful transformation. As each stage in history, if we look back, not just in our own lives, but history as a whole, all these different frequencies and changes that have happened. And it's all to our enlightenment and to our growth and all those beautiful things. But in the time when we weren't enlightened, we didn't understand. It became a fear. And I think that's what surrounds everything that in our lives that we don't understand, we don't know. We haven't experienced this before. I always say to somebody, it's like, somebody saying to you, hey, pop this bomb in your mouth. And you go, what's the flavor of it? Is it going to be sweet? Is it going to be... No, just pop it in your mouth. It's okay. And there's that resistance that we have that we go, yeah, but I want to know more before I pop this bomb in my mouth. Is it going to make me feel good or is it going to make me feel sick? So there's no difference with everything that when it's new that comes in, there's a certain amount of fear because it's not familiar to us. And so when something's not familiar, like a spiritual journey or a kid hearing voices and things like that, it's like we need to know how to deal with this. We have to stick a label on it or a Band-Aid on it, as I always say. So that, I think, now is changing and transforming in our world with lots of different things. I can remember the very first time somebody said that they were doing Reiki or something like that. And of course people are like, I don't understand this. Those kind of things. And of course it's like we need to know, we need to find out a little bit more until it resonates with us. And then we're okay with it or not. And that's okay too. So hopefully that, I got babbled on too much.
No, it's beautiful. So, okay, here you are as that teenager and you saw Jesus when you were on the bus and you learned very quickly to really just stop talking about it. What age were you as a teenager about?
Well, I was probably about 12 or 13, so what I call that transition, where we're not quite a teenager, but we want to be a teenager. When we talk I am 11 3/4 years of age, we don't talk like that when we get past our teenage years, but at that time, I was 18 3/4, or I was 12 years and 11 months, so it was in around about that time, so the puberty time where things were changing around me as a child anyway. My body was certainly taking a different shape. I was starting to have those women things happen to me, and sorry for any gentlemen listening, but they go through their transformations too. So I would be able to as a child, I'd have a friend that would say, I've got a cracking headache or something like that. And I would just go up to them and somehow put my hand on their head, or, if something wasn't right, and they would say, I feel much lighter now, I feel much easier. And I didn't understand what it was. But so the healing was there, all these things were there. But because I didn't have that, understanding apart from what spirit were telling me. I couldn't pick up a book and read it, or go to like YouTube and see what's on there, or read an article or something like that. There wasn't that kind of information around. So that was sort of how it all transpired. So yeah, I think I was in that 12 to 13 age group that this happened, and I think that was quite scary to my mother, which it would be to any parent. So.
Yes, and so, and the programming of society for that age, the 8-year-old girl is totally aware of who she is, and the boy too, very centered with who they are and not giving any of that away. And so there you were in those tender years in adolescence where you learned very quickly to just start changing the story. So how did you come back to then... How did that transpire that you're now helping people with spirit communication? And you're also a healer too. And that's the vibrational therapy that we're going to talk about. But how did you bring that back around?
Well, I had played with tarot decks, and of course in those days, again in the 1970s, there wasn't internet or anything like that. But I had gone on this wonderful course, Learn How to Read the Tarot. And of course, although I've been doing it for many years and giving people readings, I thought, okay, I really want to. I'm in my 20s now. I can be okay to do this. There's a workshop on it. But what I was finding was that I was still tuning into spirit without listening to the person that was teaching this wonderful workshop, which I found I struggled with. So I had to keep on trying to make myself listen and disconnect from spirit. But when I came to doing the reading, when we got to that point of doing readings for each other, I realized I was tapping into spirit. But it was the aha moment for me was when I realized that there were other people that did this too within that workshop. So obviously we had all been drawn there in that synchronistic moment to meet each other. Because what transpired from it was that we started what would be deemed as a spiritual development group in today's society. We got together each week and we would do a meditation, somebody would read a book or somebody would go on a workshop, and then we would share it between ourselves, again, way before internet. Everybody's so lucky today, including myself, that we have internet, that we can access all this information. So one of the people in our group had said, hey, there's this College of Metaphysics in Stansted in Essex in England. I've got some information on it, and he had a pamphlet sent to him, which was done in those days, and he shared it with us, and I'm like, I want to go here. So I basically saved up my money, and a group of us went along, and it was like going home. You know when something just seems so familiar, like you've been here before? And when I arrived it was called then the Arthur Findlay College of Metaphysics, and I think it's now changed its name, but it still has the Arthur Findlay part of it. And arriving at this location, which was in the Essex countryside, Stansted in those days was not a very big town or city, and so it was like a large stately home, and we arrived there and started to meet other people of like mind, and it was absolutely wondrous. I got to learn from some of the amazing great spiritual mediums of those days and healers, and that's all it did at that time was healing and mediumship. And then it was like, okay, there are others like me out there, and they're spread across the country and spread across the globe, etc. So there is something in this. And of course, in those days, we communicate backwards and forwards by letter or telephone, and that was the only way we could keep in touch. I love email because I can speak to somebody or communicate with somebody within moments, and they can communicate back or ask a question or something like that. So that was sort of the journey of realization, and then after that it was continuing to just keep connected to the things that Spirit were giving me. And of course, like anybody that is on this spiritual journey, you don't just transition overnight from being a mother or in corporate world or whatever, and then just say, okay, I'm going to open my business. It's a gradual transition. So I was doing readings for people evenings and weekends, and I was doing metaphysical shows and things like that. And so there was that sort of one step in both worlds. And then there came a time where I stepped right across, and that was around about the time when I created my first Oracle deck in around about 2010, 2012, that I really had to stop working in what I call my day job and just focus on my spiritual side of things. So it was, I never do anything with ease and grace. So any of you out there listening that are like me, you know, I go kicking and screaming. I never just transition into it. As much as I love spirits and I trust in them, I still have to have that will prove it to me. And that's very much my journey that it's been up to thus far. So
yes. Well, thank you for taking that journey. You have been doing readings and working with clients for 35 years now, over 35 years. That qualifies and quantifies you as a bona fide metaphysician. So beautiful. Yes, thank you. Okay, so this healing then, you call this vibrational energy therapy. And when you're able to just simply put your hands on someone, there's something going on there. So, you know, you mentioned it as a child. So tell us a little bit more about this.
Well, let me just tell you a little bit more about vibrational energy first, because this is where sometimes I don't like to lose people along the way. All right. So without going into quantum physics, which is certainly not my field of expertise, we have to understand that everything in our universal world vibrates and moves. It shifts just like you and me as human beings, and it all vibrates, and we all vibrate at our own speed. So, for instance, as human beings, we can feel calm, frustrated, happy, sad, angry, and all the other bag of emotions that go into that. And they all vibrate on their own channel. I always say it's like listening into a radio station. Sometimes we find we're tuned into the golden oldies, loving it, and then one day our station feels crackly or not fully connected. Well, that's a bit like us. So like the radio, we have to, tune into that station. As I grew up in an area where you twiddled the knob and you finely tuned it. You just had to gradually move it, and then you would catch a station. And then you would feel like the signal is clear, but then maybe you don't want to be listening to that radio station. So you'll then gradually move on to the next one. Until we find that we have connected with the right frequency, the right tune, the right channel that we want to. And that may vary on a day-to-day basis. Maybe one day I'm going, I just want to have some really exciting stuff going on. I want to have this radio show with a talk show. Or maybe I want to have something that's very soothing and calming. And maybe that's meditations or symphony music or something like that. So think of that in your field, your energy field. Like sometimes we want to go out and we want to go and party. Okay, and that's okay. They're all different levels, vibrations. And everything, including that table and chair and the walls, all have a frequency which they vibrate in. So when we feel, like sometimes to explain this, sometimes when we've walked into a room without knowing anything that's going on in that room, we sometimes get a sense of, wow, this feels great, or get me out of here, quick. All right, well, that's the vibrations from the other individuals in that situation, in that room, in that moment. And what is happening is it's meeting our energy field, our aura, which can sometimes expand out for miles if we're feeling happy and well and all those kind of things. Or if we're not, we're feeling sad or we're feeling sick, it contracts back in and forms like a blanket coating us. So again, our vibration expands and contracts based on our emotions, our health, and so on. So we've got animals, we've got people, we've got plants, we've got trees, innate objects, tables and chairs, your car, and so on, each emitting its own frequency. Like sometimes when we move into meeting somebody for the very first time, we feel like, wow, haven't we met before? And I know that sounds like a really old pickup line, but it sometimes happens. Or I get this sense of, I know that this person is not somebody I want to be around. I feel just, icky. And we've all had that. And that's when we're picking up from their energy field, their vibration, their energy. So I hope now everybody understands what is meant by vibrational energy in the sort of scientific yet spiritual way. So I hope that makes it a little bit easier.
Yes, it does. It brings to mind when we go out in public places, sometimes walking into a room that's crowded, we can just, like you said, we can feel it. And then just to witness it shift, that happened to me just yesterday.
Right.
And I suddenly just felt like leaving.
Yes. Well, in the cases like that, I always expand my energy out, like puffing out my when you see a peacock, and then they have all their feathers all closed up, but when they push those feathers out and it's almost like they fluff themselves out, there's a certain amount of you goes, oh, this is a little bit sort of overpowering here. I think I'm going to just step back. Because they've all of a sudden gone from being very small and easy looking, because their tail was down at the point when they were walking up to you, they were maybe pecking at the ground. And then all of a sudden when that tail goes up and that fan opens up, it's quite phenomenal, and it can be a little bit fearful. So a bit like a swan, when the swan lifts its wings up, we start to move back in a little bit of okay, what's going to happen next? So when we do that, and we expand our energy out, I always say I feel like it's puffing out our cheeks, but what I'm doing is pushing my energy field out as far as I can to basically say, keep away from me. I don't want you in my energy here. And we can do this just by visualizing, I always say, this golden bubble that surrounds us, and just pushing it out there further and further and further, so we don't have to feel, we don't have to experience what crapola or what situation's going on, because it's not ours to embrace.
Yes, it is not ours, but it's certainly affecting us if we let it.
Yes.
That's beautiful. You know, I would think that most of us, instead of puffing out our energy, we tend to retract it in or draw in the aura.
Yeah.
There's a difference here, what you're saying, though, right?
Right. What I try and share with anybody that's listening that says, oh, I'm empathic and I can't deal with this energy. I can't be there. I have a very easy formula that you can do to help stop that happening. And it's as simple as, when we get into the shower, as most of us do on a daily basis, we stand there for a couple of moments, we take a couple of 3 cleansing breaths, because we do actually hold on to our own crapola. And we can have it in there. So we're just breathing out and breathing in fresh, clean air. And then the water now is starting to cascade across our body, and maybe over our hair, over our shoulders, over our arms and our hands. And what we're doing then is just keeping a visualization of that water that's coming over us is gold. This beautiful golden color that's just covering our arms, our hands, our head, our feet. Because when we wash ourselves, we tend to touch ourselves. We're moving it around. So what we're doing is moving that golden energy around our body. And it only takes a couple of minutes while we're doing this. And of course, at the same time, you can be putting your shampoo in your hair. You can be doing your soap or whatever you do across your body scrubbing or whatever it is. But you're just visualizing this water that's covering you is golden. And what gold does, it actually protects us. It creates like a coating. And anything, if you have a gold ring or anything that's golden and you look into it, it reflects back to you in a distorted way. We don't quite see the image. And what it's doing is anything that comes to you that isn't yours to keep, isn't yours to explain or embrace or emotionally connect to, it bounces back out, whether it's to the universe, whether it's to a person, a situation, or whatever's going on. And then we can live our day-to-day lives. We cannot feel exhausted, drained, listing, you know, those kind of things that we do when everything's sucked out of us, the life force is sucked out of us. And I always say to people, do this in a conscious way for 30 days. And it doesn't matter whether you shower in the morning or you shower in the evening or whenever. It's when we're doing this, we can feel the water touching us, so it makes it more of a resonance. But you can do it if you stand there or you're sitting there to visualize golden water pouring over you. I always say to people, sometimes we need what I call a top-up. I've gone into a toxic situation that day and I'm coming out and I'm feeling a little bit limp. As I always call it, spiritually limp. So I just close my eyes for a moment and visualize myself diving into that pool of golden water, splashing around, letting it cover me, floating there and just being there. And then I can open my eyes and get back on with my work. And what happens is, after we've done that for 30 days, we can stand in the shower there. Now it becomes an unconscious connection, and it just happens. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to consciously be in our awareness. Okay, I'm coating myself gold. And it's such a simple process, and so many people have said how much it's helped them in their day-to-day lives and not having to experience things in the way that empaths and sometimes we do as sensitives, we can pick up that. And especially healers as well. You don't want to be taking on all the stuff from everybody else and then making it yours. You certainly don't want to be doing that.
No.
So this is where I sort of started to work with the vibration of energy and create it into a therapy as well. So it incorporates this vibrational energy therapy that I've created. It incorporates touch, sound, and color. And it can be administered. I don't know whether the therapy is administered, if you like, in 5 minutes. It's a simple, effective way to recalibrate the meridians in our body. It's like having a spiritual cleanse without a physical purge. And so how this happens is the therapist is tapping our aura or our energy field. And it's around the person using 6 different movements. And it's just working on the upper body, the head, the hands, and the arms. And because it's only 5 minutes long, and it's only a sequence of gentle touch, it allows the energy field to clear. Like you could be feeling foggy, and it sort of jump-starts it, giving them that boost of energy or that clearing that they need. And as you said, yes, it works perfectly on young children, because they don't like to sit through a lengthy process at all. It's like, how long is this going to take, usually with small children? And as I shared with you when we were talking earlier, some years ago when I was teaching this, I got the pleasure of staying with a family, and the little boy was not feeling too well, and he was usually a bouncy kind of child, spiritually attuned, but didn't like anything that took time, as young children don't. And I said, well, it's going to take 5 minutes. And he said, okay, then you can try it. And afterwards, his mother could see the change in his energy, because she was an energy worker. She could see the change in his energy. And he was having what I call a physical sick reaction to something. So we've all had that, what I call a tummy upset that is not coming out anywhere. It's just we feel that sicky feeling. And that's what he was feeling. So he looked a bit grey, and he wasn't very lethargic. And so I did the work on him, and afterwards, of course, he had lots of questions because he was interested. But the thing that he said to me is, that didn't take long, and I feel really much better than I did. And his mother could see this transformation in his energy. I could see the transformation in his energy. And it was just through this sequence of 5 minutes, just gentle tapping, movements on different meridian points in his body that actually helped him. And, you know, I always say it's like having a mini tune-up. People say, what does it work on? And I said, whatever the person needs to have shifted and changed. And again, if people are aware of that, we have those people that know about auras and they know about chakras and things like that. And people always think that we just have these chakras going through the center of our body. But if you look at an acupressure chart, you will see that there are meridian dots across our whole body. That's why somebody, when they're doing reflexology, can touch our feet or our hand and shift something to do with our head or our ear or our heart or something like that. So this is a similar, not similar, I should say, a different way of doing it. Because it's only a 5-minute technique, it's absolutely perfect for those that haven't got what I call the stamina to go through a process.
Yes, and well, for 5 minutes, what a beautiful technique. It's technology, it's healing technology, working with the meridians of our body. Now, you're teaching this. You certify healers for this in an online course. Actually, it's part of our special offer. It's a beautiful package there. It is incredibly affordable for people to add this as a modality. And so the meridians, let's talk a little bit about this. And you said not only is it recalibrating the meridians, right? The tapping is moving energy. There's something about the energy of thought or other people's energy that actually comes into our field. And if it's in our aura, then it starts to affect the meridians. Is this what's going on here? Can you explain it?
Well, the thing about it is, this is where I say to the therapist, you don't have to know what is going on with this person's body or what it is that's happening there. Because if you believe in that our body can heal itself, that concept is very much so. And what this vibrational energy therapy is doing, it's combining this tapping. So while this is happening, the client is sitting there and they're just listening to this beautiful theta music that is going on, that is just being played. And at the end of it, it incorporates color, where everybody sees a color at the end of the therapy. And it's quite amazing. So what the tapping is doing when the therapist is working on the body is, it's basically, the tapping is going, hey, wake up in there. Let's get you going. What's going on? And that's what that tapping is. It's a sequence of 3 taps, and then the energy is moved down whichever part of the body. And as I say, they're just working when the therapist is working on, with vibrational energy therapy, is working on the shoulders, the back, the hands, the arms, and the head area. And they're the only focus, so it's the solid part of us. Because once we start to tap and wake up that energy, and then we send it down the body or up the body to get that movement going, then the meridians kick in, those chakras start to kick in, and then they just start moving and whirring, and they'll move to what needs to be done. So we don't have to worry, is the heart chakra the one that needs the balance here? Because it just does it itself. Once we get the tapping and the movement going on, what happens is that generates a vibration through the body going, okay, we need to get this going again. If you think of a clock or a watch, and there's all those little wheels and cogs and everything in there, and when you take them all out and lay them on a table or something like that, which I've seen in the watchmakers, and I'm going back a bit here now because a lot of people have digital clocks and watches these days, but in the old days when they had all these watches, they would take all the little pieces out, and those tiny little cogs and wheels would all interconnect. So one would set off something with the other, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, to actually get that clock moving, your watch moving. And that's a similar way of the way I try to explain it to people. This is what's happening with your body. You're tapping on that particular point, which is sending this signal to the next part. And then it starts to get the little cogs whirring, and then it moves on to the next part, and so on and so on. So it actually moves itself right the way through the body.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. I love that we don't really need to know what's going on. It really is energy moving. Energy moving. And so when you've worked with people who do this, what are some of the, testimonials or experiences that people have had?
Yeah, again, it's usually after I've been working with, I always say to therapists that have been doing this, go away and then share the stories, because they're in what I call the wow state. When I teach this as a live class, the therapists work on the people attending the class work on each other. And of course, generally, they're people that are either do Reiki or some form of healing, or they're interested in doing some healing. So a lot of people would do this course as an add-on to an existing therapy that they usually are doing themselves, or they can do it as a standalone. It's entirely up to the individual. And, I love getting those emails where somebody has shared, well, my teenage son who works at a store, and, they've been out on a drinking binge or a party the night before and woken up with a hangover and say, come on, Mum, you need to fix me. And they'll sit there because it's 5 minutes, and they'll do all this moving and changing and the shifting of the energy, and then it's like the hangover's gone, or the feeling of lethargy is gone. So they're able to actually get on and do this and not feel that it's too difficult. And of course, when some people have said, well, the person, because it's a very, very, very gentle touch, and this is something before the therapist does before they start working on the client, is to just show them this is how it's going to feel. Is that okay with you? And on occasions where clients say, I really cannot have the touch on you, especially if somebody's going through chemo or something like that, the skin is very, very sensitive. It's almost like a burning sensation if somebody hugs them or kisses them or something like that. So then the therapist can actually work on the outer field, because as we've just explained at the beginning, our energy is moving out, so we don't actually have to touch the skin. So this is a wonderful, again, when I hear of people that are cancer patients that are having this, and it helps them to sleep, or it makes them feel that they want to eat or something like that. And as I say, it works on everybody in whatever way that person's energy field needs it.
Well, it sounds fascinating, and I am wondering if people can do this on themselves, or is it best to have someone do it for you? Like if you get trained in it, can you do it yourself, or can you reach?
Well, yeah, you can't, and that's the only downfall in this particular modality. So that's why I always say to people, teach your husband how to do it, or your daughter, or a friend, or something like that. They don't have to be certified, but then they can do this on you. But that's the only downfall with this particular energy therapy, this vibrational energy. It has to, you can't do it on yourself. Now, I've heard a couple of therapists who have said, well, I sat there listening to the music, and I've put myself into that energy field, that vortex, if you like, where I'm visualizing that I'm tapping on those different points and doing that work, and it has worked in that way. But whether it's something that just some energy workers love to do it that way and have made it work, but it is usually working one on another. So anybody that's hopeful that they can do it on themselves, and if you're a really good visualizer, then I would say yes, you could see yourself doing this to yourself as if you were standing behind you and actually making this happen.
Okay, good, very good. Well, you have a training course on this, and that training course is all online, and it's for people to learn this technique. So share with us about everything that's involved, because for what you get certified in this, being able to use this, that's a very good tool for a very great price. So what goes on with this training?
Well, the online training is 9 video lessons, which they take you step by step through the training. There's a downloadable manual so that you can also see it. If, you know, some people are what I call physical and they like to have a tangible something that they can go through and look at. And again, it takes you through exactly like the video, step by step through it. There's a downloadable color analysis guide because, as I said, at the end of each session, the client is invited to see a color. And they always do. Even the people that I know that are very much, they can't see or sense, you know, they'll just say, well, the color that comes to mind is gray or blue or yellow or whatever. So there's this wonderful color analysis guide that you give to the client to read to allow it to resonate with them. There's also the downloadable link for the Vibrational Journey of Sound CD, which is my voice set to music, which is working on a theta level. So a theta level just takes us into that consciousness, which is just above sleep state. And that allows the person to, without even knowing it, to be connected. And then upon completion, you get the Vibrational Energy Therapist Diploma and email support from me. So if people have questions during the course or have an experience that they wanted to share or ask about, I'm there with email support as well. And as I said, it can be used as a standalone treatment or can be used as an add-on to therapies. A lot of people that have taken this course do Reiki or hands-on healing or access bars or something like that, and they've added it on so that they give their client something extra at the end, a little an additional tune-up, as it were. And some people love this very much because here's the tools that you need if you're somebody that does home shows or goes to metaphysical shows or things like that. You know, you haven't got to take a lot along with you. You just need a stool or a chair without arms on it, somewhere where you can play the music. You know, I have mine on my phone now, so I don't even have to worry about it. I've got my phone with me, and then I just put the music on and let it play, and the color guide. And then the person sits there, and so you haven't got all masses of things that you've got to cart around with you if you're somebody that likes to go do treatments in people's homes, or if you're at one of these spiritual fairs or a holistic wellness show or something like that. It's such an easy technique, and I always find if I'm at a show like that and I'm doing treatments for people, I get a lot of other people that are there that are have a booze or something like saying, "Oh, Debbie, can you just do a quick top up on me? I'm feeling a little bit drained at the moment, or I'm feeling a little bit tired, or I can feel a headache coming on because of the lights in the room," or something like that. And it just helps them to clear. So it works in so many wonderful ways.
Yes, wonderful ways. And I love that as we use this modality for those who, there's nurses out there using this on people they come across. There's healers and people that do body work, and we can do this, plus we can do it in our own life. So thank you. Those stories and experiences will shape this as truth and actually bring it forward even more. Wouldn't you say, as we started out the show, that, you can say that you're a clairvoyant, and people would either say, "Oh, that sounds interesting," or, "Oh, it's not." Wouldn't you say that more people are definitely interested in that these days?
I still say it's about a 60-40. Depending upon where I am, and, I might be out playing a game of golf or something like that. If I'm in a metaphysical store, or if I'm in that environment, yes. 100%. Somebody, usually comes up to me and says, "What are you seeing?" or "What are you reading off me?" or anything like that, something like that. So, but if I'm out, say I'm, playing a game of golf, and my husband and I like to go and play golf from time to time, or in an environment we've gone out to dinner, a dinner party or something like that, and people don't know who I am or who he is, when that conversation comes up. Sometimes it could be like, finding out somebody's a proctologist. Do I want to continue this conversation or not?
Okay.
But
I think
it's getting more and more resonance. I think the people that are what I call the disbelievers or the non-believers usually will make a joke about it and say, "Oh, well, the clairvoyant, you should have seen we were having this meeting," or something like that. And that's fun too, because it shows that there's an openness there, and maybe they don't understand, maybe they're a little bit scared or that kind of thing. And one of these days I said, I am going to do this to somebody, and I will get probably in a lot of trouble from spirit. I am going to go up to them, and the person that says, "So what's going on? What do you see in me?" or "You must see something." I'm going to go, "Yes, I do, but you don't want to know." In a joking kind of way.
Yes.
We don't see it that way, not in that. But I just think maybe to stop, sometimes people like to try and have a little bit more too much fun at my expense. And I don't mind, I'll let it ride to a certain extent, and then sometimes, as we have to do, we have to nip it in the bud.
Okay. Well, we are going to take some questions. That's a fun part of our show today.
Right. Oh,
I want to talk first. Yeah, let's talk first, though. You do special sessions with people, spiritual clarity, vibrational energy, spiritual clarity sessions. Yes. And this really helps people tune into their inner guru and their guides to get clarity on their purpose and their mission. Can you talk a little bit about what that session is like?
Yes. Well, it's usually a 30-minute, and it's done via Skype. And the reason I like to do it by Skype is because people like a visual. I can do it by phone. Please don't, anybody say, "Oh, I haven't got Skype," or I can do it through Zoom or something like that. But what I find here, sometimes in life, when things aren't absolutely clear, they're not tangible, we're not quite sure about something. Usually we do have the answers already, but sometimes we need that little shift or push, or the clarity that comes, it's in us, but sometimes it needs to come out. So if anybody's interested in that, don't assume you're just going to sit there and I do all the talking, because I don't. Because I get you to answer some questions or set some questions that I send to them, the person, and they have to do their own homework before we actually meet. And the reason I do that is so that you can set into motion the things that you need to know, the things that are coming up from you. And then that way I can look into that a little bit further with you from an outsider position, and of course with the assistance of spirit, because I don't do this alone, I do it with their help. And then that way it helps us to connect and get into our spiritual intention, what we need to do, those little tweaks and minor shifts that we sometimes need to do.
Yes, beautiful. It's wonderful to have someone there to help us through that and facilitate it. Okay, well, that special offer, of course, is here on this webpage at acoustichealth.com. You can click on that and see that beautiful offer with a online training course and a personal spiritual clarity session./There's also a quick link. That quick link is bit.ly. So that's bit.ly/Debbie Special. bit.ly/Debbie Special. And you'll be able to get there to Debbie's special offer. Okay, well, let's go and take questions. If you are on the phone, *2 will allow you to raise your hand. There's also a Q&A box on this webpage. Let's go up to, it looks like Tennessee, area code 931. Hello, caller. You are unmuted. Tell us your name, please.
Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. Do you have a question for Debbie?
Well, I don't know exactly what kind of question are we supposed to ask, because I don't know what's available. You know what I mean? I don't know if she's able to do, mediumship or what's available.
Okay. So, Debbie, what kind of question would you like? Helping to assist in spiritual clarity, or if you can see anything or assist them in a shift in any way?
We can certainly try that in whatever way, or if you have questions about the workshop. So go ahead, Michelle, and let's see what happens, what transpires.
Wow, I'm drawing a blank.
Okay,
I'm not sure what to ask. Yeah.
All right, well, let me just see what, I'm going to draw a card here, and I have a Vibrational Energy Oracle deck, and I just want to see what the card is and what the connection is, because I'm getting a sense here that the card that actually I pulled is Abundant Blessings, and I think that's something you need to hear, something that you haven't heard for a long time. You haven't heard somebody say how good you are, or how great you are, or this is going to work out. I get the sense that that's something that in your life at the moment is lacking. And I know, Spirit, don't want it to be lacking. And I know you've made some shifts and changes. We all do. And some at the moment you're wondering whether you did the right thing. And I'm hearing from Spirit, yes, you did. It's just taking a little longer than you anticipated for you to be feeling good about it. So here's what Abundant Blessings is about. We don't have to be, people talk about abundance and they assume it's like lots of money falling into their lap. But this is actually more about gratitude. And you know all about gratitude because I know you share it. But sometimes people aren't sharing that back with you, and that's what I get the sense at the moment is not happening. So you're feeling depleted in your energy, and you're feeling like there's something missing. What have I done wrong? What haven't I not done? We've all done it. Okay, we've been there. So, and for anybody else who's listening, if you're feeling this too, every day I spend a bit of time before I go to sleep at night in gratitude for what has happened or not happened to me that day. And sometimes the not what happening to me could be, the car that nearly cut me off. Well, it could have hit me, but thankfully it didn't. And you know how to do this. You've offered gratitude and support and love to everybody else. So now you need to add it to yourself, to do this for yourself. So by being in gratitude, what that does is it reconnects you. It helps you in your abundance. Okay. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense to you, hon. Okay?
Oh, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And please, will you stop beating yourself up? Self-flagellation is not a nice tool to use. Okay? When you're feeling that way, just let it go. Just say, oh, you know what? Okay, I am not perfect. And truly, I'm not perfect. I screw up. I say the F word. Okay? That's a human part of us. But don't beat yourself up on it. Just say, you know, it happened. I'm moving forward. So I said the wrong thing. It happened. I'm moving forward. I love myself. I forgive myself. It's okay. So please do that for yourself, because you're holding, like we all do, onto things you don't need to. Okay, you don't need to beat yourself up on this. Okay, hon?
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Blessings to everyone.
Blessings to you.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you.
Thank
you. Okay, beautiful. All right, let's go for one more caller here. Let's go up to area code 902. Hi, caller.
Hi, Lorraine, and excuse-moi.
Debbie, that's okay.
What's your name? What's your name?
My name is Carmen.
Hi, Carmen.
Hi, Carmen.
I think we met each other. You come in Prince Edward Island many years.
Right. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Mystical channeling that I take the card from you, vibrational energy.
Oh.
And I'm so glad and thank you, Lorraine, to invite her. But I'm so happy to hear from you. And you quite a lot of you make a lot of things in your life, and it's amazing when I listen to what you said.
Oh,
thank you very much for. And I want to ask you something, if you can tell me, because I'm do healing also. I'm a medium, I am empathic and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have an interview with the guy who was helping Lady Diana, and he said to me that the violet flame, this excuse me, my word in English is not very.
That's okay.
Alchemy with Saint Germain. Do you know Saint Germain?
Saint Germain, I've heard of that.
Yeah, and he want to work with me, so I think it's a good thing. Do you have something to say about that?
Let me share with you, because while you were talking, I asked Spirit, okay, you know what she needs here. And whether we got a language barrier or not, it doesn't matter. So I was starting to shuffle the cards, and the card that came out is an open book. So I get the sense here, this is a new journey for you. And whether there's a book at the end of it that you're going to write, or there's something that you're going to be doing that needs to be written down, I'm not sure. But I do get the sense it's going to be an open journey for you. And even though the pathway is not set in stone, you understand what I mean by that?
No.
Okay, so sometimes when, we may go for a job, and here's a contract that we sign that gives you everything in black and white, telling us what our duties are, what's going to happen, how we're going to get paid, and all those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, that's not set in black and white. Okay, so it's not set in stone. So don't make that a hurdle for moving forward. Because I think this person that you're going to be working with, and it's not just one person, there's going to be other people coming in and working with you as well. So I get the sense that they're also trying to say, how is this going to work? How can we do this? What can we do? So I get the sense this will be something that the two of you, and there's going to be a third person involved, the three of you, will be working on together to formulate something. But you're going in joy, and you've always moved towards the light. You've never moved away from the light. Even in those darkest points in your life, you've never moved away from it. You've always had that, if you like, I always say like the carrot dangling in front of you that you're walking towards. And I get the sense with whatever this is at the moment, it's not going to be instant. Okay, so it's not going to happen overnight, but it is going to happen and it's going to transform and be created in a way that you'll be creating it together.
Okay.
Okay?
I hope it's going to help my financial situation.
You're not going to get an instant fix, okay? You understand that, what I mean, an instant fix.
Okay.
All right. But here's the thing. Your financial side of things is not your concern at the moment.
No.
I don't mean that as a dismissive way of saying it, but Spirit is saying it's not of concern. They've always provided for you. So focus on what this can be and what this transpires to be. And you know, I've been there myself where it's a case of, okay, I've got to invest some money to get this, or I've got to buy something to get the next thing, but I can't afford it. If I put all my money in this, what if it doesn't go right? Okay, so I understand. I've been there. And I am somebody, as I said at the beginning, sometimes I go kicking and screaming. Never usually with ease and grace. Okay, so you don't have to be like that. You're a cautious person. That's okay. That's the humanness of it. But it's not going to give you instant financial returns. So be aware of that. But this is a great journey you're going on. And as I say, the book is there, it's open. So whether that's you being in openness to receive and see what happens, or something to do with a book or something that's going to be happening along the line.
Okay, I thank you very much for that.
Thank you for letting me work with you.
Yeah, I was remember that. That's why I said, is this the same Debbie?
Oh, well, that is lovely. Thank you very much. I feel very honored.
Thank you very much to answer my things, and thank you, Lorraine, to invite her. I very appreciate your show, Lorraine. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carmen. Isn't it a small world? It's amazing. I love that.
I feel very honored and blessed when people say, oh, I met you or I've seen you or something like that. And so thank you, Carmen, for remembering me. I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Yes, that's so amazing. Okay. Well, you know, one of the things that you've given us some great tips today, like showering and the golden water and puffing up our energy to really keep our energy strong in situations out in public. What else can we do to raise our vibration and shift our vibration? Do you have a couple of extra suggestions? Okay.
First of all, think about what you are bringing to the table. And I have to say this to people, we attract what we put out. So here's your energy going out. And it says, use me. Or bring me money. Or I always attract negative people. Well, if you keep saying, oh, all I ever attract is negative people, that's what you're putting out there. Of course they're going to come back to you. Because you're saying, that's what I attract. So one of the first things we can do is surround ourselves with positive people, situations. Stay away from what I call spiritual loopers. As I said earlier, be in gratitude. And sometimes it's for what we don't have in our life. Remember that, story from years ago, walking a mile in another's moccasins? Well, every day, as I said, I go to sleep, before I go to sleep, I'm thankful for the things that I haven't got as well as what I have got given to me. And if you're constantly attracting the law of the garbage truck, as I call it, the negative people, the loopers or whatever, then you've got to let go of the garbage. Cut and run, if you like. Drop off the garbage. You don't have to carry it. And what I mean by the law of the garbage truck, we start off the day, we're driving to work or going, and then we miss the bus or somebody cuts us off and we take that with us. So we throw it in the back of the garbage truck. We go on to the next situation, so we stub our toe and then we throw that in the back of the garbage truck. And then we get to the water cooler and it's empty and we can't get the water. And we can keep building on that and throwing all that crapola into the back of that garbage truck until in the end of the day we're hardly moving because we've got so much junk in there. Well, like the garbage truck, it has to be emptied. Okay, so don't take it with you. And don't take everybody else's garbage and throw it in the back there. You know, life is 10% of what you make it and 90% of how you take it. So have a garbage-free day. Surround yourself with positive people. Step away from the negative Nellies or Nigels and don't have them in your world. Because the only thing we own, I think it was something somebody said to me years ago, the only thing that you own is your thoughts. And if you want to keep thinking negative things, then continue doing it. Or change that, shift it. Okay, I hope that helps.
Yes, the only thing you own is your thoughts.
Yes.
Write that down and remember that. Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
We have a question coming in. There's one from Angela, but she has her hands raised. So, Angela, you are unmuted. Hello.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
Hi, Angela.
Hello. I'm calling, so a lot of messages have been coming through for me to really tune into my inner being, and I have to say it's been a struggle. Okay. So I wonder if you have any general advice for individuals.
Yeah, I definitely do. Are you able to sit and meditate? Is that something you're able to do with ease and grace?
Ease and grace would be a stretch, but I can do it.
Okay, well, here's the thing, and this is for anybody else that's listening as well. Meditation doesn't have to be an arduous journey. Meditation can be going for a walk in nature, paddling in water. For me, water is my soother, if you like. So if I sit at the edge of a lake or something like that, or paddle in the ocean, it's almost like a calming, and it's like a resonance which takes me into other vortexes, as I always say, within my mind. It opens up things for me. So I always say, walk in nature. Even if you can't go in the winter time, sit in a car and look at nature. Or lay on the grass, look at the clouds. That is a form of meditation. Don't do it for more than 5 minutes to start with, because otherwise you'll be fighting it all the way. And if you can do it every single day, great. And if you can't, don't beat yourself up on it. As I said to the other lady, self-flagellation doesn't look good on us. But when you do, set an intention. Okay, so if you're somebody that can listen to a meditation CD or something like that, listen to it. If you're somebody that wants to get some answers, so yours may be something like, how can I connect more with my spirit guides? How do I know who my angel is? Send me a sign. And then we have to be open to those signs and messages coming through. And you understand what I mean by that. That can be sometimes, I'll give you an example. I was driving along to a workshop that I was going to be hosting locally, and there was a traffic hold up, and I thought, okay, I've got plenty of time, don't stress it. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden a person's name came to mind. I just got the thought of this particular person, and they're in Australia. And I thought, well, that seems very strange. I wonder why I thought of them. And then I looked to the side of me, and then I saw a truck with a kangaroo on the back. So I thought, okay, Spirit are really trying to get me to listen to this now. So not knowing what that was, when I got home, I messaged her, and I said, okay, what's going on? Is everything good? I hope so. If not, let me know. And she came back and she said, well, I'm going through some this and that and all the rest of it. So that's how we get that connection. That's how we can make it. We just have to put the jigsaw pieces together. So when we get a feeling, a sense, or, we think of somebody's name, or we think of somebody, or think of something, follow that thread. Find the next piece of the jigsaw and put it together. And sometimes it'll come in one go, and sometimes it may come over a couple of days. But when we're open and receptive to it, I always say it's like the adventure. You're not quite sure what you're going to see and when you're going to see it. But when we have our eyes and heart open, then it becomes more and more easier. And I have to say to you, the more you do this, and anybody that's listening, the more you do this, the easier it becomes. So I'm hopeful that helps a little bit.
Yeah, what I also heard was patience.
Not one of my greatest virtues, I have to say. I'm with you with that. It's like I want it and I want it now. So you're not alone there. But spirit don't work on the same 24-hour system that we have. Okay, so when sometimes spirits say it's coming soon to them is not like us, I want fries with it in a nanosecond. It may be a day, a week, or whatever. And usually at that point, if I'm not getting anything and Spirit has said it's coming soon, I'll ask. I say, okay, have I missed something? Can you send me that again? Is there something I should still be doing? Is there something, so I probably am the person that questions Spirit quite a lot. And for my guides and helpers, I think they're the ones that get sent to the Debbie's questioning school because she's always constantly asking questions. So don't be afraid to ask questions of Spirit, okay?
Okay.
And it isn't all laid out in black and white. But the biggest thing for us as human beings is we're energy first and a human being second. But in this incarnation, we're a human being. And as a human being, we are full of emotions. The happy, the sad, the good, the bad, and all the rest of it. So sometimes we have to keep those in control. And what I mean by that is, if we're feeling a happy moment, then go with it. And if we're feeling that sad moment, connect to it, understand it. Why was it sent to me? Was there something I missed here? Is it to do with me? Is it to do with somebody else? Especially as sensitive. Use the gold if you're an empath and sensitive, because that really does help you not being bombarded throughout the day. It still means that Spirit can send you the messages, but it doesn't mean that you're picking up everybody else's toxicity or things that are going on that are not yours to take on board.
Can I ask one more thing?
Yeah, and journal. Write down what you get, even if you think at the time, this makes no sense whatsoever. Because I'm telling you that sometimes when we have to put the jigsaw puzzle together.
With karmic stuff, and I say this kind of not really clear on even what the word karmic completely means, but I say it in reference to ancestors. Your analogy of the garbage truck was like hilarious to me because my family were garbage collectors.
Oh, mine too. Your name's not Anderson by any chance? No, I'm kidding.
No, in the U.S. they're Italian, so. We did collect garbage.
Yeah.
But just this like idea, this concept that we take our ancestors' history into our DNA, and a lot of the work I do is clearing that. Mm-hmm. So do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, of course. You chose your parents. I chose my parents. We all chose our parents. And I must admit there are times when I've gone back and said, can I please read the small print again? Because I think this was wrong. We chose them for the things that we wanted to learn and understand and experience. Okay, as we do with the other people that come and go in our lives, whether they're there for as I always say, a reason, a season, or a lifetime. So with that, we don't have to continue that. So if we've been brought up in an abusive, physical abusive family, we don't have to become the abuser to carry on that strain, that carry on that DNA, that line. Maybe that's what we've been put there for, to change that, to balance the books, to shift something over, to transform it into something better. And I have to say to you, hon, I don't know how close you are to your family, but I had to cut ties with certain members in my family because the strain of trying to keep in my vibrations when in theirs became way too much for me. And so I've let them go with love. I wish them well, but I don't have to endure them. Okay, so hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. We are here for our own journey. Yes, we chose our family. Yes, we chose the situations that we wanted to experience. And one of the things that I've always said to people is what my parents didn't give me, who have made me who I am today. And I know that might sound weird or strange or anything, but if you think about the things that you didn't get from your family, whether it was love, whether it was money, whether it was patience or all those other things, they're the things that we can give to ourselves because we recognize that they're not in our life. So we can give them to ourselves. We can make them happen. We can transform that for ourselves. So hopefully that's not confused the issue.
Oh, it didn't. No. I was also curious if that pattern could be like, if you could put gold on it, like you put gold in your energy field when you're around sensitive to, you see a pattern coming in from your ancestors and you just put gold on it.
Absolutely, yes. Send them away with love. And I always say that even to the person that's done the hardest, most painful, most spiteful thing to you in your life. Because when you can unconditionally release them with love, and I can tell you with some of the people that have come into my realms, my life, you know, people go, how can you forgive that person? How can you? I said, because if I don't, they're in my garbage truck. I'm carrying them with me. The divorce, the bad job, the bad friendship, the person that's taken money away from you, the person that's raped you, or whatever it is. If you cannot forgive them, let them go unconditionally with love, then you carry that. And you don't have to carry that. And, you know, Spirit don't want us, we're not here to suffer. And although some people say, yeah, but my life is this, it's that, and all the rest of it, they don't want us to suffer. It's how we take that emotion, how we take that situation. And I would say to people, you can either be a victim or a victor. And if you look at the word victim, the difference between the word victor is I am a victim or I'm not. Victim, victor. Or I can change this, I can shift this, I can make it happen. And I always say out of something bad always comes something great, something good, something amazing. Because of us as an individual. And yeah, bad things do happen to us, to others, our world and so forth, but we can shift and change that. So I hope that helps too.
It does. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. And anybody that's listening, I have on Facebook a free spiritual development group you can join, and it's called Debbie Anderson Vibrational Energy. I just have to quickly look here. It's Vibrational Energy Debbie Anderson's Spiritual Development Group. So just ask to join. I'll invite you, and you can go through the day-to-day things that I throw up for people. No, I throw up. That sounds bad, doesn't it? I put up there for people and their sharings as well.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay. Well, I wanted to share this comment that came in from Michelle. Michelle, she was one that you spoke with at first.
Oh, right. Yes.
And she said that message Debbie gave was very helpful and timely. I was fighting back tears, and thanks for all the great tools. Love and gratitude.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Michelle. And I am so blessed that she was able to get through and get that message.
Yes, so beautiful. Great. Okay. Well, everyone, thank you so much for your time today. Debbie, I want to give you a moment to thank you for being here, for sharing these tools, for walking on your journey, for knowing that so deeply in your heart that you stepped into it fully. That really is the name of the game here. And now you're helping people in such a beautiful, beautiful way. Would you like to share anything as we say goodbye and close our sacred circle?
Yes. Check in on yourself, your soul being. And I know that sounds strange, but the more we listen to our inner self, the more we tune in on our journey. Move away from the trolls, the naysayers, the negative Nellies that surround you. And surround yourself with positive but practical people. You don't need people that are just going to be yes men around you or yes women. And every day it's about living in that any given moment, that now, that synchronicity, that Spirit regularly offers up to us. You know, we don't have to go around beating our heads, beating ourselves over the head with a wooden mallet. They don't want that. Experience the human side with laughter, sadness, love, sorrow, and everything else in between. And if something doesn't work for you, then move away from it. But take the nuggets that will help you and leave the rest behind. And most of all, I suppose, be real. And what I mean, that is, step out of your ego or fear and step into the spiritual essence of who you truly are. It's only when we are there that we're whole. Keep your dreams real. As someone shared with me, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So you don't have to do all this in one go. Baby steps, everyone.
Baby steps, everyone. Beautiful. And this is the connection to our soul that really is, it's got all the wisdom we need. It's got the knowingness. And I love how you're helping people do that, Debbie Anderson.
Thank you.
Thank you for this quantum conversation. Now it is time to dance our way to the cosmic heart. But before we do, I want to point you one more time in the direction of Debbie's special offer. It is available on this webpage at acoustichealth.com or the quick link bit.ly/Debbie special. So here we go. Let's have a little fun and a little perk as we integrate the great wisdom that was imparted today. I honor you and I thank you for your light. Quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. Access all quantum conversations, special offers from our guests, and online healing retreats by visiting acoustichealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. We leave you now with music from the universe. Music literally created by the universe, as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is this beautiful music available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.